Hello, football fans. Welcome to the Mean Gene Show here on ESPN 97.5. It is Sunday, September 15th, week two of the National Football League, and I am joined here with my co host, and that would be the one from the coach's quarters, Jacob Meadows. Man, good to see you back, man.
What is up, baby? It feels good to be back in studio.
All
I've
right.
missed you guys these last couple of weeks.
Hey, man, and when you mention guys, you must be talking about me and AJ, who is on the other side of the glass. And look, folks, if AJ sounds a little down and out, there's a reason for it. But we'll get to that later. What's up, AJ? Are you? We can't hear you. Yeah, yep.
Oh, my bad.
Don't
You hear
mute
now?
yourself, man.
Well, see, I can
I know.
understand if you don't want to be heard.
Yeah, look, that's probably a good thing.
It's
but
it's not easy being a Cowboys fan.
it's okay. But hey, I mean, that means I'm able to get through tough times, though. So I mean,
I know.
hey, yeah.
You'll have a good draft pick.
Look here. Yes, and he muted himself because he knew
did.
what was going
Probably
on
necessary.
today. All right, folks, we're gonna be in for a good show today because look, we're on early. I know. Look, if you're driving around listening to us on 97.5, I thought these guys came on at 7. Yes, we normally would be on at 7 p.m. tonight, but because the Bears are in town, the Houston Texans are on the Sunday night football game tonight on NBC, and we had to come in early because there's no way we're going to miss that game tonight.
No shot. This is the most exciting matchup of week 2 if you're a Houston fan. So this is perfect.
So next week, back to the 7 to 9. But look, we had to get on here today because, man, it's going to be a great game tonight. And look here, I tell you what, we are going to break down all the action from week 2 of the NFL. Look, don't blink. This is week 2. In a couple of weeks, it'll be 7. It'll be week 10. It'll be week 12. And the season is over. So every week is so critical. We're also going to break down the Thursday night football game, Bills and Dolphins. Man, I tell you, the Dolphins are in a crazy situation.
It's a pickle.
Yeah.
It is a heated pickle for the Miami Dolphins right now.
It is. So we also have an update on Tua Valoa, whether or not he is going to continue to play, and just a crazy injury. We already talked about the big game tonight, Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud. So they're making it so much about Caleb Williams versus C.J. Stroud, even though it's not like they're competing against each other.
They never play each other. Right. Like it's them versus the defense. But
exactly.
It's easy to market the stars, right?
Well,
Caleb Williams, Stroud. You have to, yeah. It sells tickets. If it makes money, it makes sense.
I haven't seen a lot of blue and orange in town. Now, that doesn't mean tonight's game at NRG won't be flooded with Bears fans because they do travel. They travel well.
They travel. They're one of the best traveling fan bases. But I just think Houston is really standing behind the Texans this year. So it would not surprise me if Chicago was not able to pack the crowd with the Bears fans because we have way too many Houstonians ready for that H-Town rundown.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, there was 72,000 people there for preseason games. So I just don't think the Texans fans are going to allow the Bears, like the Pittsburgh Steelers fans do. Steelers fans would take over.
Those terrible towns everywhere.
Are in Denver. We'll talk about the evening games here in a little bit. We get you some scores on that. But yeah, the Terrible Towels, when they went down to Atlanta, I don't think you're gonna see you might see 15,000 Bears fans in there tonight. We'll find out tonight.
15,000 be a good round number for them.
But anyway, so that's gonna be a great game tonight. And of course, we have all your scores from the early games today, including some upsets, what have you, and of course we have the games that are on right now. So why don't we just go ahead and just give you a quick update on what we have so far in these afternoon games here. So right now in Arizona at State Farm Stadium there, the Cardinals all over the Rams, 21-3, 5:47 left to go in the second quarter.
This has been a fun first half. And it seems like Kyler heard the chirps. The coach heard the chirps. Marvin Harrison heard the chirps. Marvin Harrison with 4 catches for 130 and 2 tutters in that first half already. It feels like they're trying to get him involved, and it feels like, it's working for the offense, right? This score is nuts.
No, very 10 for 11, 191, 3 touchdowns already with a 158 quarterback rate. So I don't know what's going on with the Rams. This is always, it's 24-3 now. So that's an update there. But Mike Prater just kicked the field goal. So look here, this is I mean, this is the NFC West, which is all we used to call it the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
So and it's sort of looking like that. So other scores, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are up 7-0 over the Broncos, and that's 12 minutes 42 seconds. They just kind of getting into the second quarter in that game. And the Cincinnati Bengals now they are winning 9-3 over KC, and that game is also early in the second quarter.
Yeah, and that it's probably the most interesting game on right now. I mean, I love watching Arizona pummel the Rams for no reason. I love that Justin Fields is winning against Denver at the moment. But with all the questions surrounding the Bengals after week one, where they fell to the Patriots, it's going to be interesting to see how they rebound this week. It looks like they've rebounded well. Joe Burrow had the passing touchdown there to I would butcher that guy's name if I tried to say it. I have no idea.
You know, we got to get the names right because that matters a whole lot.
Iosivas.
Say it.
Iosivas.
Say it.
There's no way that's right. Iosivas. Iosivas.
Yeah,
He's got the tutter.
Yeah, the 4-yard touch from Burrows. So look here, I think a lot of people are questioning Joe Burrow's wrist, which this is a critical game because this, everything in the AFC goes through where? Kansas City.
Kansas City.
So for the Bengals to get an early jump on KC, that would be incredible. Patrick Mahomes, 4-6-21 right now. He has an interception in this game already.
Yeah, it's looking again. This is always the game for the ages, right? You have the Bills Chiefs and you have the Bengals Chiefs. Those are your two big matchups for the Chiefs every year because they are the heavy hitters in the AFC naturally. So they always play each other well. But it does seem like this is going to shake out as it's going to be a gunfight in the very end of this game. It seems like just because Pat's got an early pick. Neither offense is moving very fluidly so far here in the early part of the game.
I have a feeling it's going to pick up, but it's nice to see Burrow able to throw the ball in the end zone.
It's nice to see that he can throw touchdowns since he didn't in the first week, and it's nice to see. I mean, Mike Gesicki had a catch for 37 yards. That means that Joe Burrow's stretching the field to some amount. So
you need to do everything against the Chiefs.
Bodes well for the bum wrist.
So look, week 2 got underway Thursday night, and this was a shocker because on the Sports King show with myself and Dustin Pfeiffer, we had to make these picks, and we both picked the Dolphins to win. That wasn't the case. If you didn't see the game Thursday night, the Miami Dolphins and the Bills, good AFC East showdown. Bills win 31-10, and that was only half of the story. But, man, James Cook, big night there, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Josh Allen, man, what a night for him, 13 of 19, 139, and he had a touchdown there. But he also spread the ball around to Shakir, Kincaid, and Johnson. But the big story, of course, was the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa, who we have the call on that. So let's go ahead and listen to what went down Thursday night. Okay. We'll get that soundbite. Thanks, AJ. So when we have that, we'll play it. So look here, the big story there. Tua Tagovailoa, 3 interceptions in that game, and this was sort of just okay. Let's go ahead and listen to that soundbite.
You're down by 21 points, 4th and 4. Pressure. Tua steps up. He's going to run for the first down and takes a shot at the 6-yard line. Hamlin hit him, and Tua down. Picked up the first. Split the seam.
Sad, man.
A sad way for Tua Tagovailoa to basically carried off the field, so to speak, and didn't return in that game. He was listed with a concussion, Jacob, and boy, have we been down this road before.
Yeah, he left in the third quarter with the concussion. This is what, his 3rd professional concussion? It might be his 4th professional concussion. I
think it's 5th overall because he
5th
had one in Alabama.
Correct.
So I think 4 in the NFL there. So it's
you hate to see it.
You do. You hate to see it.
Any other part of your body can be repaired to some extent, but the brain, it turns out, cannot be. So it sucks to see because he's so young. He's got so much life ahead of him, so much football ahead of him. If he's
6 years
so
old.
yeah, it just you hate to see it.
You do. And of course, a report coming from thescore.com says that he's scheduled to meet with
Neurologist.
neurologist. Can I
Gotcha.
say it? Say it.
That-
Are we struggling with certain words today?
It seems
Neurologist.
so.
I need a neurologist. So he's going to meet with a neurologist early this week after suffering a concussion on that game. And of course, now he's also trying to get information on the severity
Mhm.
of this latest head injury and the effect in order to make a decision on his future.
And this will be a perfect thing to monitor because Tua's already come out and said that he doesn't want to retire, right? He's going to wait. Once medically cleared, he wants to return to the field. But it's going to be interesting to see how many people actually push him in that direction when there's only so much that can be done. And if he has, one or two more concussions, we've seen what they can do to people longevity wise, right? Like maybe the next 10 years he'll be fine, but you have to wonder what life will look like for him beyond the NFL. When he turns 40, right? You have to wonder what the health effects will be at that point because it does seem like we've been down this road with the head injuries before, and it has not turned out well for the players in the past.
No, in his case, particularly. So, look, I mean, the guy, you can understand why he doesn't want to walk away from football because that's all he knows.
It's his life.
From Pop Warner to the days at Alabama, and now he's in the NFL, and he, I know he just signed this big, humongous $200 million plus contract. Now, look, if he does decide to walk away, $94 million of that is pretty much guaranteed. But you can understand why it's so tough for him to make that decision. So we're going to wish him well, and we're going to wish the Dolphins well because now they have Skylar Thompson, and they
T's and P's, man.
yeah. So look, it's going to be a long, long road. But look, we're just getting started here. First segment here of the Mean Gene Show here on ESPN 97.5, and we'll be right back with all of your scores from the early games. Stick around, Mean Gene Show 97.5.
You're listening to The Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, Mean Gene, Jacob Meadows, and AJ, our man behind the glass there. We are here on this Sunday, second week of the NFL season. Look, I know all of the city of Houston is getting excited about tonight's game, but we got a lot of transplants that live here, so we are obligated to kind of get into what took place in the early games this morning, or I like to say, or afternoon, wherever you're watching these games on the West Coast. It's 10 o'clock in the morning when these games kick off.
Which is miserable, might I
Yeah,
add. It's so
lived there
early.
for like 20-something years. It was, but you get used to watching games at 10 o'clock in the morning.
You have to, but I mean, it's much nicer when they're at noon. Noon is a better time slot.
Doesn't do much for your church, like if you go to church.
It doesn't, no.
Or like, you have to find a church football service is what I call it. You have to go there early in the morning. All right, so look, we're going to get into some of these games, what happened this morning. Let's go ahead and start with an upset here. Now, this would be the Raiders and the Ravens. How about that? Raiders and Ravens, okay? So Raiders win this game 26-23 in Baltimore at MT&T Bank Stadium there. What the heck happened?
It's hard to peg that. If you would have told me the Ravens would have been 0-2 to start this season, I'd have laughed in your face during the preseason. But it just, I mean, it would. Lamar can't play hero ball. They made him stop running as much, and it just feels like the Raiders, albeit their own problems, the Raiders were the more complete team today. Their passing game looked better. Their run game left a little bit to be desired. But when you have Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, and Jacoby Myers out there making plays, I mean, the Raiders showed what the Raiders could do. Their defense showed up better than they did in week one. It was almost reminiscent to the Raiders defense from last season that got AP this head coaching gig. And it seemed like the Raiders wanted it more, and the Ravens were not prepared for how the Raiders came out swinging.
I mean, look, at certain points in this game, I mean, look, if you would have told me that Gardner Minshew was going to outperform Lamar Jackson, I would have said, hey, you're crazy. And looking at these stats here, look, Minshew goes for 276 yards. He had a pick, and I mean, they have almost similar numbers, with the exception of Minshew just having more.
He threw more attempts,
right,
but not four more attempts and had 30 more yards. More.
But I think the game was basically decided by the defense here, because Max Crosby is something to be reckoned with, and that's something you have to account for in a close game. The Raiders defense should get you over the hump, and that's what they did here. Look, Zay Flowers, it looked like he was going to have a remarkable day, and he did.
He did.
So did Mark Andrews, which I know fantasy football owners have been kind of wondering if it's going to be likely. Likely did not have
any sort of
day today compared to that first game against the Chiefs.
One other thing worth noting, I mean, the defense definitely made this for the Raiders, but the fact that Justin Tucker missed another field goal and is now, he's what, 9 of 12 over the last 12. The precipitous fall off of Justin Tucker has continued into this game as well. And that it is worth noting, because if he hits that, you go into overtime. So
something that you don't see in Lamar Jackson, he ran the ball a little bit today. I'm still questioning the usage of Derrick Henry, who was 18 attempts for 94 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, it just seems like they're struggling on how to use him. And Justice Hill also ran the ball as well today.
Well, it's almost like, you have the two defections to the Chargers, right? You lose J.K. Dobbins to the Chargers. You lose Gus Edwards to the Chargers. And those were two of their primo rotational backs the last couple of years. So it's like when you lose two of your big cogs and replace them with one, it's not a depth problem, but you don't have that stable of running backs that Baltimore usually has 4 or 5 running backs that are of starting quality. And now you lose Gus Edwards, you lose J.K. Dobbins, you have Justice Hill still, which they are using very minimally. And then you have Derrick Henry offsetting Lamar Jackson's running. And it just feels like Baltimore may have dug themselves a hole with the running back depth and are going to have to rely too heavily on King Henry, which, 6 years ago, that's not a big deal, right? He's King Henry. And now you have John Harbaugh coming out saying that they don't want to use him the same way that he was used in Tennessee. They don't want him to have 30 carries.
Yeah, you're going to have to, let him do what he do.
Yeah, let him work.
Now that you're 0-2 in the AFC.
You're going to have to do something.
And you're 0-2 in the AFC North there.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, if the Ravens are going to be there, man, they really need to turn things around. So it's going to be interesting to see how they make the adjustments moving into week 3. How about this one here? Like last week, the Carolina Panthers made the inaugural What Had Happened Was segment, which we got a doozy for you in the second hour uh, coming up here. But look, they stayed off what had happened was this week,
Barely.
and barely anyway. But anyway, I don't know. It's going to be a long season for the Panthers. Me and Dustin Pfeiffer talked about this on the Sports King Show podcast. Chargers get the win, 26-3. And at one particular time, it looked like Justin Herbert was going to be taken out of that game. He went under the tent. He came back. But, man, J.K. Dobbins. So if we thought last week was a fluke, apparently it wasn't.
Got some news for you. Yeah.
17 carries, 131 yards, touchdown. He ran one. He busted one for 43 freaking yards there as the Chargers now are 2-0 under
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh.
The magic of Jim Harbaugh has returned. Brought a little bit of that 49er magic with him. Like, man, what a crazy. And the fact that they are run first the way they are, like, this is old school smash mouth football. They had over almost 300 yards total of rushing offense. The passing game, it's unfair to call it negligible because Justin Herbert threw for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that's pretty negligible for Justin Herbert. Like, this is a run-first offense. And J.K. Dobbins, man. J.K. Dobbins. I know Gus Edwards
had 59 yards.
So on 18 carries. They're splitting evenly.
Yeah.
But, man, it looks like Baltimore may have made a mistake not retaining J.K. Dobbins.
How about the TCU product?
Quentin Johnston, baby.
Finally showed up today. He was targeted 6 times, 5 receptions, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns there. So, man, Jim Harbaugh has returned to – he's in midseason form already. It seems like he just never stepped away from the NFL. The Chargers are 2-0, and I think that AFC West is going to be interesting. I didn't see this 2-0 start coming, even though the Panthers are probably going to be the
bottom of the South.
The bottom of the cellar. I mean,
Sure.
the way they're looking now, I don't know if they're going to win a game this year. Bryce Young, 18 of 26, 84 yards there. He had a pick there. His receivers there. Look. I don't know of anyone in fantasy football that has Trimble, Thielen, Deontay Johnson on their fantasy roster. Sanders. This is a horrible team.
How could you? I've seen 1 or 2 people roster Chuba Hubbard, but that's it. And he was either benched or cut after week 1 anyway. So yeah, this Carolina team it's going to be a rough go for them. There's nothing to really shine a light on. Like, you can look at the development of Bryce Young and say that, maybe Carolina's scoring more points than they did on average in games last year. They managed to get 3 points against this Chargers defense. And all things considered, Bryce Young has looked terrible. The wide receiving core looks like it doesn't want to be there. The running game doesn't look motivated.
It's they bring in a new coach, and we talked about this,
Yeah.
Jacob, how, the worst thing you can do to a young quarterback is just have so much turnover on the coaching staff. So Bryce Young is looking at his third, maybe offensive
third coordinator,
and look like he's going to probably see another one. I don't know who else they, have. Went out and drafted this guy. This was your number 1 pick. So to bench him now would just be a slap in the face.
Ridiculous.
And they have an owner, David Tepper, who is like, doesn't have a lot of patience. But here, at 0-2. It's not going to look good.
No.
I don't even know. Look, they're not going to – I don't think they're going to win a game. I really don't think they're going to win a game this year.
It doesn't look so. And, this is going to be a reflection of David Tepper. I'm glad you brought him up because if you look at the situation that transpired in Cleveland, right, the Baker Mayfield situation in Cleveland where he has 4 different coordinators in his first 4 years in the land, and then he leaves the land for Tampa Bay, and he improves with a little consistency, an organization that really believes in him. He looks good. They replace him with Deshaun Watson. That's a story for another day, right? But David Tepper needs to take a page out of this book because if you give up on Bryce Young, right? If you bench him, if you don't give him adequate tools to do his job and you don't build the team around him, you very likely could see another Baker Mayfield situation where maybe Bryce Young goes somewhere else after the first 4 years in Carolina.
Look at the quarterbacks that they had Sam Darnold, they had Baker Mayfield. So now they got to be scratching their heads to say, man, both of these guys, look, Sam Darnold is doing good. Baker Mayfield is doing good.
Yeah, what are we doing wrong?
On the teams that they are playing for now. And Bryce Young, it's just going to be a long season. I take it back. I'm going to step back and say, they're probably going to win one game. And 1-16 is a disaster, especially when you see it coming.
Yeah. There's no better way to put it. Yeah, when you can see it coming like that, how do you stay motivated for an entire season of getting run through by other grown men when you know that there is the light at the end of the tunnel's never going to come?
It's just a horrible situation. But anyway, so hey, we got an update on the Chiefs and the Bengals. Seems like McPherson makes a 33-yard field goal. So this is going back and forth here. And that is the Bengals are now leading this game 13-10 with about 4 minutes left to go before halftime.
Yeah, I'm glad they're keeping it close. Rashid Rice is who scored the touchdown for the Chiefs. It's looking like he's going to have a great season. He has looked pretty crisp since the preseason. And we're coming up on halftime. I don't know. I like the Chiefs in this game, but the Bengals are keeping this competitive. The Bengals look better today than I expected them to look. And I love that for Cincinnati.
It's not really the shootout. Patrick Mahomes' numbers are getting better. He's 7 for 9 of 71. And of course, he has that touchdown pass now. And Joe Burrow's looking really good, 10 of 17, 120 yards. So I got to think second half, we might just blow it open.
Going to pick up a little bit. Yeah.
I think so. So we are going to have more scores and analysis and updates. And we'll look at some of the fantasy football impacts here through week 2 of the National Football League. Look, if you had Alvin Kamara on your fantasy football team today, you should be winning your league
happily.
Today. This guy never gets young. Just when you're ready to write him off, it's impossible. But hey, stick around. More NFL scores and highlights. You're listening to The Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows right here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
On ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
Barton, the center, snaps the ball. Bell high. It's going to be a quarterback run by Mayfield. Inside the 5, 3 to the 2, to the 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, back-to-back runs, and the Bucs retake the lead.
Wow. Okay, so I don't know if you call it an upset after the Detroit Lions on Sunday night. They get a win over the Rams. There's nothing like having an alarm clock that goes off.
Rookie move.
I would be taking a nap if it wasn't on the Sunday. So okay, anyway. So we have Baker Mayfield getting it done. Getting it done today. He rushed 5 attempts for 34 yards, even had a touchdown there. But Baker Mayfield, man, 12 of 19, 185, 90.9 quarterback rating. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the Detroit Lions in Motown 20-16, Jacob.
Baker Mayfield's an Iron Man. That dude, he will slug his way through any game and come out on the back end. Whether he wins or not, Baker will fight until that final second. And that's what they did against the Lions. I did not expect the Buccaneers to win this game. I did not expect Baker Mayfield to outplay Jared Goff, which, if you look at the numbers, I mean, Goff had a decent day. Threw 2 picks.
A rematch of a playoff game.
It sure is. And
Yeah.
Baker came in and made it known that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are here to stay this season, that they're going to give the Lions a run for their money at the end of this year in a way that they did not last year.
Jared Goff did not look good today, even though, man, they put the ball up in the air
55 times.
For 300 yards, but he had no touchdown passes. When you look at the weapons on the Detroit Lions team, you talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, Williams, you get, Gibbs are catching from the backfield, so will Montgomery. But of all of that passing there, no touchdown passes for Jared Goff. And man, this doesn't look good, because I said earlier on before in the preseason there that there's always a team that goes from
First to worst.
And I just have this uncomfortable feeling that the Detroit Lions are taking a major step backwards this year. This was a huge loss, especially against an NFC non-divisional opponent.
So I hate to see it for Dan Campbell, right? Motor City Dan Campbell, MCDC. I hate to see it for him. But yeah, I mean, if you really break down the passing stats for the Lions, right? Like Jared Goff put the ball in the air 55 times. That's one thing. People do that. Tom Brady had multiple games where he had to pass that many times. What you don't like seeing is if you look at your receiving stats for Detroit, right? Amon St. Brown got targeted 19 times, had 11 receptions. Jameson Williams targeted 11 times, 5 receptions. So your 2 leading receivers are almost catching at a 50% clip, and Jared Goff was overthrowing a lot of those throws, and that's not what you want to see in week 2, especially not from Jared Goff, who had a shaky history with the Rams, right? Wasn't always that dart-throwing quarterback, and he had some down games last season with Detroit. So you have to wonder if it is cause for concern for Detroit that Jared Goff is not hitting these throws, especially against a Tampa Bay defense where coming into this season, the secondary for Tampa Bay was supposed to be less good than they were last year. And they outplayed the Detroit Lions.
You have to explain to me. If you look at the stats of this game, the Lions' total net yards in this game was 463 to the Buccaneers 216. And when you look at the first downs, they had 26 first downs. So how the hell do they lose this game?
This one's got to be. This one was Jared Goff's fault. This one falls on Jared Goff's shoulders, and it's team game, right? The defense played well, held Tampa to 20 points. That's not bad. And then even the offensive, the skill players, they all produced. Aiden Hutchinson had a record day for his career so far.
Yeah,
all of these players, all the pieces played well. Jared Goff was the outlier, and I don't know. Like, even their run game looked really good. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both had adequate days. And
because they kept the ball. They controlled the game. Those 2 picks did not help.
No, not at all.
55 times, that's bound to happen.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, this was a sad outcome. If you're a Lions fan, this was a sad outcome. If you're a Bucs fan, you're 2-0 and you're looking great in
you're 2-0 in the NFC South
in a tough division.
I didn't predict that. Look, we knew that the Panthers were going to stink it up, but look, and the Falcons is the team that I picked to win the NFC South, and we don't know what's going to happen with them. We got to wait till tomorrow night.
They're 0-1 right
but
now. The best team in the league's in this division.
The New Orleans Saints there.
Man.
We're talking about what they did to the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington today. AJ, you might want to go to lunch or something when we get to that part. But no, I mean, but the NFC South is really surprising us. And, but no one, we just took our eyes off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won the division.
Mm-hmm.
So shame on us for not having more respect for Tampa.
Shame on us for not thinking that they were going to run it back when they were the division leaders. And they've looked good through 2 games so far. So yeah, that was a knock on us. That was a bad
big
move.
knock on us. And look, Mayfield has the weapons. You know, you can't say he's not on a team with bad weapons because he's got Chris Godwin. You don't know from 1 week. Last week it was Mike Evans who had the big game. Today it was
Chris
Chris Godwin, 7 receptions. He was targeted 8 times, 117 yards, a touchdown, including that 41 yarder there that Mayfield hit him with. So, hey, big win there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 2-0. Go figure now. All right, if you're in the AFC South, Texan fans will always like to know. They made good work of the Indianapolis Colts, you know, in the season opener. They beat them, although it was only 2 points, but it was a win.
It was a close game, but it was a win
against a division opponent. And now the Green Bay Packers, I tell you what, this is a shocker. The Green Bay Packers without Jordan Love, who we all saw get injured in that Brazil game versus the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
It was Malik Willis.
Malik Willis.
12 of 14, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. And it was the Packers winning over the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 0-2, Jacob.
This was a crazy game. First off, Malik Willis comes from Tennessee, right? Never has a good start under his belt. It's like this guy, he was great. He was great in college, came out, never quite. Maybe he was a developmental, just never really got it. Managed this game better than you ever could have asked Malik Willis to manage this game. I mean, albeit Josh Jacobs had 1,000 carries, right? Josh Jacobs ended up with 32 attempts for 151 yards this game. So he was who controlled
no touchdown, game, which I'm shocked.
Which was nuts. Yeah. But you have Malik Willis coming in against the Indianapolis Colts, and they took the dub. This one blew me away.
This was at Lambeau Field, but look, no one had the Packers winning this game. I mean, we saw like you just gave the story about Malik Willis.
Yeah,
drafted third pick there a couple of years
give
ago,
or take. Yeah.
And the Titans didn't want anything to do with him. They just got rid of him right at the end of the preseason there. And look, who knew that Jordan Love. They wanted him to play. Mm-hmm. He probably could have played, but I think they took the precautionary measures to make sure. So now, look,
why risk it?
2 good quarterbacks in Green Bay.
No kid. Now all of a sudden you have good quarterback depth in Green Bay. Not only do you have the starter in Love, you have a primo backup that can continue to learn the system and fill in no problem if something were to happen to Love again in the future.
A repeat of 2023 is like the year the backup quarterback are taking advantage of the opportunity. Look, Anthony Richardson, I tell you what, last year we saw a couple of games where he flourished. This year, not so. I mean, I don't know. Give it up to the Green Bay defense, but he had a horrible day. 17-34, 204 yards, 3 picks, and a 41.8 quarterback rating. A lot of people have Anthony Richardson in their fantasy football.
No kidding. Again, props to the Green Bay defense because Anthony Richardson looked really good against Houston. I mean, he had a couple of miscues, but he looked really good against Houston, then comes out against Green Bay and just falls absolutely flat. He looked like a rookie, kind of like how people expected him to look against Houston in week 1, seeing as how he missed most of his rookie year. But he looked like a rookie today against Green Bay, and the Colts fell flat because of it. That is nuts. After his performance in week 1, I never would have guessed that Green Bay's defense would do this to the Colts offense.
So, to all fantasy football fans who are wondering what the hell is going on with Michael Pittman, we're wondering too. What is going on? This guy was drafted in probably 85%,
probably higher, of all leagues,
football leagues, and he has yet to have a showing this year. And it seems like
Alec Pierce has really taken over as that wide receiver one
there, and Jonathan Taylor also a horrible game today. I mean, not so much
decent on the ground, just no scores,
but no scores. And even Trey Sermon got 2 attempts there. But look, I don't know. Looking at the AFC South standings right now, we talked about this on the way to the station here. I tell you, Texans, Texans fans got to be happy about what's going on in the AFC South. Jacksonville loses today.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that. The Titans
lose today.
And
the Colts lose today.
And it's all about what happens tonight at NRG, Jacob, where the Texans could just take control of this division and make a stance in the AFC.
You're not kidding. Colts, Titans, and Jags all lost in week 1 as well. So it's going to be, we'll have a 2-game lead on the division, which is a crazy opening to the season for the Houston Texans. So this is good. It's good stuff if you're a Houston fan.
Yeah, now the afternoon games are, believe it or not, the Rams and the Cardinals are already in the third quarter. So that is a fast-moving game. Score hasn't changed at all. The Arizona Cardinals are still up 24-3 over the Rams. The Pittsburgh Denver score hasn't changed. They're about to go into halftime with about 10 seconds left there. It is 7-0 Pittsburgh. And with about 1:50 left to go before the half, it is the Cincinnati Bengals holding steady over the Kansas City Chiefs. So I know this is one that the Bengals fans want, especially after losing to the Patriots.
Mhm.
About this hot Patriots team also.
Yeah, buddy. I can't wait for that one.
But they're making it seem like that game against the Bengals was no fluke. But this is one that the Bengals and Joe Burrow, they want to come out of KC with a win today.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to if they actually want to be competitive at the back end of the season, right? Like you can drop a game to the Patriots in the first 6 games of the year. It's not a big deal. It does, in the grand scheme of things, it could help or it could hurt your seeding, but it's not going to be detrimental. But if you lose the head-to-head with the Kansas City Chiefs, if you are the Cincinnati Bengals, that could have
This is gonna
long-term
matter.
implications for what happens in the playoffs later this year should both teams make
Because
it. So
these have been like the cream of the crop teams
Yep.
there. Buffalo's making a case for it this year as well, but everyone knows that it's been Cincinnati and KC that are the cream of the crop in the AFC. All right, so when we come back, we will talk about what happened in Jacksonville today with the Browns and the Jaguars, as well as the 49ers and the Vikings. So stick around, folks. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, this is the Mean Gene Show, but I can tell you this: AJ and Jacob just make it so much better. And I tell you what, guys, I don't know what I would do without you here. I mean, hey, we are in Sunday football season here. AJ, how'd you do on your fantasy football today?
Right now on my ESPN one, since I have Marvin Harrison Jr., that one's looking really good. I think I have like almost 130 points right now. But my other one, thanks to the Cowboys defense, I put up 115, but I'm gonna end up losing because of how bad they play. I think they only gave me like a point. So
Yeah, I think I did see that. You doing pretty good on fantasy football today.
I'm not doing too bad. You know, Brandon Aubrey is single-handedly keeping me in some of these weeks. It's a rough
It's
week
nice
too.
to have it. Kickers last week were
He put up
like had
21
double-digit
points.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Boswell.
I'm looking good in 2 of my 3 leagues. That third league's looking like a loss already 2 weeks into the season.
Look.
2 out of the 3 are solid.
I lost in one of my leagues on Thursday night alone. Okay. I went up against Achan and James Cook and Tyreek Hill, who didn't have a bad he didn't have a good game, but you know what happened.
Didn't have
to
a
us. So
bad
that
game.
just-
Yeah.
Once Skylar Thompson got in there was no they took Waddle and Hill out the damn game. So I
Mhm.
knew I was done. But yeah, I was already down like 64 to like 10
It's-
already on Thursday night.
It's hard when you match
So
up against
that's-
2 of the biggest scorers.
Yeah. And then the same guy had J.K. Dobbins today.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just getting beat silly. I think 2 other leagues I'm looking okay. But hey, we got an update on the afternoon games. Just that quick, man. We right before the break, we were just letting you know how things went. It looked like the Arizona Cardinals now, thanks to James Conner, are running it in the end zone there. The Cardinals now lead 31-3. Chris Boswell kicks a field goal right before the end of the half to give the Pittsburgh Steelers a 10-0 lead over Denver. And it looked like McPherson also kicked a field goal to give extend the lead for Cincinnati. They now lead 16-10 over the Chiefs with about a minute left to go before the half.
Yep, these are shaking up. This afternoon slate's pretty good, all things considered. I mean, I know Arizona's a blowout, but it is the Cardinals blowing out the Rams. So, I mean, that's a big shift from what we've seen previously. So it's nice to have that. Pittsburgh, you have Justin Fields fighting it out right now, up 10-0. That looks really good. And then even the Cincinnati and KC game, that's the perfect game for the mid-tier because it is a good game. So these mid-level games, these are nice.
The one good thing to see for the Steelers fans is that, last week it was all Chris Boswell.
Mhm.
The offense sputtered. Justin Fields basically managed to keep, the game, keep from losing the game.
Yep.
But this time the Steelers get on the board early with a touchdown and Boswell with the field goal there. So we'll see how things kind of pan out there. The shocker, of course, still, the Rams could make what had happened.
Yeah.
When this game is over,
Jury's not out yet on them.
I think we'll be off there. So I can always hold them over to next week. If it gets to just be ugly right now, the Rams are struggling. So I got to think that
It's getting
McVay
ugly.
is going to have a nice halftime. Well, actually, it's not halftime, right? No, this is it. This is already the third.
It's already
quarter.
the second
I'm sorry,
half. Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a halftime score there, but no. And as soon as we say his name, they show him up on our screens. And so he looks concerned.
He does, as he should. Just a side note to your Pittsburgh Steelers, it is nice to see Najee Harris and Jalen Warren both getting work done on the ground. Their averages look good today. It is. I think they're finding their offensive identity.
They're going to play their style of ball, which is not always pretty. If you're a Steelers fan, you're sort of used to that. Okay, so if you're AFC South, we talked about how the Texans could really set themselves up pretty with a win tonight over the Bears, but thanks to the Jaguars today, I don't know what's going on in Duval, but they're not winning. The Jaguars find themselves down 2 games. They are 0-2, and all eyes were on the Cleveland Browns because they saw what Deshaun Watson didn't do last week, Jacob.
Yeah.
But this week, I think you know what happened there.
Even I was a little impressed. I mean, Watson did not have a great showing, right? He didn't come out, wasn't lighting up the scoreboard. Cleveland only had 18 points. What he did was he cut back on the interceptions, cut back on the sacks. He looked more comfortable under center. Deshaun Watson was a complete 360 from what he was last week. And I mean, it ended up eking the Cleveland Browns out over the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. Again, I can't emphasize enough, this was not an exceptional game from Watson, but he did score a touchdown on the ground, ran one in. He ended up having 5 carries for 20 yards in that tutter, which is not terrible. And then he went 22 of 34 for 186 through the air. Again, no interceptions. The Cowboys piled it on in week 1 because Watson kept giving the ball away. And this week they didn't do that. And they were able to pull out the win. But kind of what you said, you've got to be a little concerned about Jacksonville 2 weeks into this season. You've got all of these just weird, a rookie wide receiver and Brian Thomas has taken over the wide receiver 1 despite your $100 million man and Christian Kirk.
A negative.
Yeah, negative yards in this game. You go out and you grab Gabe Davis from the Buffalo Bills. He has been a non-issue 2 weeks in a row. And then you just have their tight end, Evan Ingram, not doing a whole lot. And I
mean, that was like the craziest thing to wake up this morning to find out that Evan Ingram, who is another go-to guy, Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk over the last 2 seasons have been the Jacksonville offense.
And I don't get, you have to wonder if by the end of the season, if Gus Bradley's going to be on the hot seat. You have to wonder if maybe Jacksonville starts looking, maybe they put him on the hot. They won't fire him after this year. It would take some catastrophic losses for that to happen.
Doug Peterson?
Yes, not Gus Bradley. Man, I'm living a couple years in the past. Yeah.
Where the hell did you dig that name up?
Yeah, no, Doug Peterson, you have to wonder.
But Doug Peterson is a Super Bowl winning coach, played the quarterback position, no better. Look, I mean,
Philadelphia fired him after that Super Bowl.
But that's all you can just look crazy. Back on. But look, we saw Urban Meyer leadership there. I mean, look, Jacksonville is a good team, but man, you lose it at home to the Browns. I can tell you the difference in this game was Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
because Myles Garrett was all over Trevor Lawrence, and this was just, this was a horrible game for Trevor Lawrence. Look. 220 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But man, they couldn't move the ball. And you also, we talked about this during the break. How does the Browns win this game going 2 of 14 on third down?
Makes no sense. Jacksonville beat themselves. Very obvious. They didn't have a run game. Travis Etienne didn't get going. Tank Bigsby was a non-factor in this game. And then you have Dearness Johnson, who had 5 carries for 26 yards. But again, it's negligible. They couldn't get any sort of consistency in their round game. They keyed in on Trevor Lawrence in the passing game. Ed Cleveland was able to dictate this game from start to finish.
What makes the NFL so fun and interesting is that when you see a team like the 49ers get it done on Monday night versus the New York Jets. And this was without Christian McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. They have to be thankful to find a, rising star running back.
Jordan Mason.
So all things are looking great for the 49ers. I mean, a lot of people have them back in the NFC Championship game. And then I think this felt like the revenge, Sunday for some reason. So They have a couple of quarterbacks there that didn't work out. Sam Darnold was one of those quarterbacks that did not work out for the 49ers. So today, week 2, the 49ers travel to Minneapolis to take on Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. Well, guess what happened, people? The Vikings win 23-17 over the 49ers, and the Vikings are 2-0. Hello.
All of a sudden,
in the NFC North,
man. Oh man, that must be nice.
So, I mean, this is crazy, right? Sam Darnold today looked like a stud. I mean, he had the 1 interception. I think without that, he probably would have had a higher quarterback rating. 109.1 ain't bad, but how about the long pass
to Justin Jefferson?
What was that, AJ? Was that 97 yards? Yeah, let's just hear that. What happened there? That's
the pass. Bosa picked up. Deep shot. Jefferson. Yes. Caught at the 50. Heads left to the 40. Touch back to the 25. Head to the right. He's trying to outrun the Niners to the 5. Touchdown.
When I saw that, I said, "Who threw that ball?" Because there was no way
was Sam
Darnold.
Man.
Not USC quarterback Sam Darnold, who is on his 4th team, I believe now. Is it 4th or 5 teams? But anyway, a huge win for the Vikings, who all of a sudden, look, I know it's only 2 weeks, but the Vikings are 2-0.
They look
Who?
polished.
I didn't have the Vikings winning this division.
No, not even close. And they're, they reach out, they end up with Aaron
They're
Jones
first
from the
place.
Packers in the offseason. That was their big acquisition. He didn't even have to do anything this game. Sam Darnold made friends with all those ghosts he was seeing when he was throwing the ball. Now they're helping him throw to the right people. And it's great. Sam Darnold's looking good.
Look at this division. So, look, let's just say if the Bears win tonight, if the Bears win. And so you would have the Vikings and the Bears atop the division, although last year it was the Packers and the Lions who made the playoffs. So it's just crazy. And when we talk about first to worst to first or first to worst, I mean, we see it in front of our eyes. You get rid of Kirk Cousins, right?
Yep.
And you bring in Sam Darnold, man. This is all about taking advantage of opportunities because Darnold has had his chances. I remember interviewing him when he got drafted, when that draft was down there in Dallas. And typically, I'm a USC guy, but USC quarterbacks just don't usually fare well, except for, maybe Carson Palmer was maybe one of the last great ones that played well. But man, Sam Darnold looked great today.
He was dishing it. You know what? I love it for Minnesota, for Vikings Nation. Skull, right? Like, that's great for them. You want to see it for Sam Darnold. Like, you never want somebody to do poorly. And having Sam Darnold come in, 6 years into his career, however long he's been in the league, and finally look like he's putting things together, Minnesota could be a threat down the stretch.
I mean, this is crazy. The time of possession there, 49ers just held the ball the whole time there. I mean, this was an incredible win for the Vikings, but it was a crushing defeat for Brock Purdy, who was 28 of 36, 319 yards.
Touchdown.
Just couldn't get it done today. Mason, he gets it done on the ground, 20 attempts, 100 yards. Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. You got to think it just feels like maybe not having him there could have impacted these guys to some degree.
It felt like in this game, right? In the first game, they didn't miss CMC much. Nobody knew what Jordan Mason could do. So he came out and he dished. This week, it looks like they missed CMC in the passing game a lot. Yeah. Jordan Mason did great on the ground. He is not the same dual threat that CMC is. It's not fair to him to say that he's not a dual threat. He caught passes week one. He looked good doing it. Nobody does it as well as CMC does. Nobody's done it as well as CMC does since CMC entered the league with Carolina. And it does seem like that, like you said, that may have been the big factor for San Francisco here because they didn't have that running back to throw to out of the backfield that could make the same level of impact.
All right. Well, impact, good win for the Vikings. We are going to wrap up hour number one and stick around hour number two. More updates from the afternoon games is Jacob Meadows, AJ, Mean Gene. You listen to the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5.
So what had happened was
What had happened was
We are getting you through week 2 of the National Football League with scores, highlights, analysis, and all that great stuff. And it all leads to the big game tonight happening about what we would say about 4 miles from us over at NRG Stadium.
Give or take.
Sunday
Yeah.
night football. Texans hosting the Chicago Bears. A lot of hype there with Chicago. They win last week, man, in a remarkable fashion, being down by 17. Get it done there over the Tennessee Titans. And tonight they are in town. The orange and blue. They're gonna be ready tonight. You got two great quarterbacks there. CJ Stroud tonight just going to be CJ Stroud, man. Or whatever you thought last year, if you thought it was a fluke, think again.
Yeah,
This
right.
kid's the real deal.
He is legit. And the one thing for Chicago fans, man, I tell you what, they had a good win in week 2, but there is no Will Levis dishing out easy 6-point returns when you're in Houston. So it's going to be a little different for their defense. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out.
So cannot wait. One reason why we're on early, okay? So you think we want to sit here and miss the game? What could be the game of the year? I mean, this is really, really going to be it's top billing there. It's been marketed very well. This hour, we will continue our updates, including this week's What Had Happened Was segment. And I think we should just go ahead and go into it right now.
what had happened was
what had happened was
what had happened was
what had happened was the Dallas Cowboys were supposed to win their home opener in Arlington, Texas. Dak Prescott made quick work of the Cleveland Browns last week after just, signing that multi-million-dollar contract, which, was I'm never going to say what anyone should or shouldn't have. I mean, it's not my money, of course.
Yeah.
But I was happy for him. Okay.
Absolutely.
But you got to know that what comes with that is expectations. And we all know when you expectations and Jerry Jones, you have to mention those in the same sentence, right? And today, the Dallas Cowboys, I just didn't see this coming. I mean, look, right now in Arizona, it's 34-3. So the Cardinals, I think we're going to have 2 today. What had happened was
worth it
because we're watching what's happening to the Rams, but there's still a lot of time. And one thing you know about the quarterback of the Rams is that he can come back.
It doesn't take a lot of time, and
he can put up a lot of points there. But let's talk about what had happened, and that is the Dallas Cowboys lose today, 44-19 at home to the New Orleans Saints. That's what 20 or 25 points. Who saw this coming?
Say that for me one more time.
Who saw this coming?
Oh, probably nobody, unless you're a diehard Saints fan, which after week 1, all of us could have probably seen some amount of this coming. But man, the Saints just hit them in the mouth. They started hot, finished hot, and they were hot the entire game. That it looked bad for Dallas.
Derek Carr, through 2 weeks of football, as you said earlier, looks like the MVP.
Looks like
the league.
Early MVP. Yeah. I mean, that's one I didn't see coming. Derek Carr looks like his career has been rejuvenated. It felt like he didn't even want to be in New Orleans last year.
Yeah,
and now, man, he is just dealing that ball.
I mean, this is crazy. So his stats for the day, look, they only put it up 16 times.
Yeah.
Because Alvin Kamara, who 20 attempts, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I mean, look, this is just an incredible win. Carr, 11-16, 243, 2 touchdowns. And he had a pick that it didn't really matter. Still had a 125 quarterback rating. But this is incredible. They controlled this game, 24 first downs. The one turnover, which didn't really bother them compared to Dallas, 6 touchdowns to the Cowboys, 1.
To this stud Dallas defense. It's worth
Just-
noting that the defense was, one of those things that was touted in Dallas as this great thing, and then the Saints just obliterated them.
Yeah, this was crazy. And look, and we talked about this. No one picked the Saints to win the NFC South. I picked the Falcons,
The Falcons.
to win, but I mean the Saints are 2-0. But look, we also mentioned here that Super Bowl 59 is
in
going to
New
be
Orleans.
played where?
It is in New Orleans, Mean Gene.
Okay, so
Extra incentive for the Saints to be
Is
good
it
this
not?
year. Yeah. Play in front of your home. Could you imagine as an NFL player playing the Super Bowl in front of your home fans? It's one thing if they travel to see you play. It's another if they wake up and they're already in the city.
you know what I like to see? I like to see the Saints and the Vikings in the NFC Championship game. You remember?
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, in the playoffs. I mean, because there's a
Minneapolis
history
Miracle.
between those teams, right?
Mhm.
But no, I mean, then you got two unexpected teams that are 2-0, and this is incredible stuff here. And I mean, look, the Cowboys. I don't know. I haven't seen the press conference of anything. CeeDee Lamb gets in the end zone today. He was targeted. Believe it or not, Tolbert was targeted more times than CeeDee Lamb. Maybe because double coverage on Lamb or not.
Mhm.
But Dak Prescott, I mean, he coughed it up there, and that's something that
Can't do that.
AJ. I mean, look, Dak is going to be under a lot of pressure, but to cough it up today, that just shows old flashes of the old Dak. So, Cowboy fans, a little worried or what?
Well, okay, if you're a reasonable Cowboys fan like me, it's not all on Dak. I mean, he's trying to come back from behind the whole entire game. Run defense was awful, like it has been the past few years. They were really feeling themselves, honestly, from that Week 1 win against the Browns because everybody talking about them, how they killed Deshaun Watson and all that stuff. They just got to keep things in perspective. Like my thing, because I'm only 22, I haven't seen them win significantly, but they try to ride the coattails of the players in the past. Like y'all haven't done anything. You're just playing with privilege. Like it's really annoying. I can go on a tangent about this, but it's just annoying. I hate
feel
how they
you.
perform.
I mean, look, you got to win your season opener. I think everyone. I don't know what the point spread Jacob was on this, but I know for a fact
Dallas was favorite.
Dallas was favored
Yeah.
to win this game. And and when I saw that touchdown pass, I mean, every time I would take my eyes off the game. Every time I would look, the Saints are in the end zone. But Alvin Kamara is this guy. I mean, this guy's been around for a while now. He's one of the elite guys in the league. So let's get some soundbite from that Cowboys Saints game there today in Arlington.
Barr takes the snap, looks to throw. Here comes pressure. He hits Kamara across the middle. Kamara room to run. Inside Dallas, 40, 35, 30. Got a blocker. You ain't going to catch him. Not Alvin Kamara. See you later. Bye. Touchdown, Alvin Kamara.
And this is, I mean, can you believe that this year? I mean, I don't know. How old is Kamara? I mean, he's been around for some years now.
He's right under 30, right? He's like 28. He's 29 years
I think it's
old.
something like that.
Yeah, he's
I
up
mean,
there.
It's just
Over the hill is 30.
Well,
So Kamara should be
but it
slowing
just
down
seems like
a
he's
little
just
bit.
been doing.
He
It seems
gets
like he's been
better.
playing for 10, 15 years already.
Age is like fine wine.
I
Every
guess
year
so.
just
I
gets
guess so.
better. And then as a side note, right? Rashid Shaheed has came on real big for the Saints these first 2 weeks. He's one of the top 3 fantasy wide receivers. He played well last season, but is more of a boom bust player. He's looked fantastic 2 consecutive weeks in a row here in the 2024-2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, no one saw this coming. And look, I don't know who they play next week, but this is just incredible. If you're Saints fans, and look, we're going to be in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59, so I cannot wait to do the show from there. But man, if the Saints are there, I don't know how the NFC is going to shape up with the loss to the 49ers today. Man, I would have to say it's up for grabs right now, even through week 2. But you got a couple of 2-0 teams, and I mean, you can't count out the Eagles. We'll see them tomorrow night, of course.
Yeah.
But who knows the way this week has been going? If the Falcons go in there and beat the Eagles, the cream of the crop in the NFC is the Vikings and the Saints.
If the Eagles end up
Stop
losing, if the Eagles end up losing, there's going to be nothing but
You don't want to hear that,
chaos.
do you? I know. Look, hey, it's facts, baby. Facts. It's
Week 2 facts. Okay, we'll see like in 5, 6, 7 weeks now where they're looking at.
Well, I mean, look, I know.
Sure.
Look, I can't predict the future, but it's all about right now. Don't take the excitement and glory away from Vikings and Saints fans, because the Saints are playing with a purpose and to become the third team to host and be in the Super Bowl in their own backyard.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
especially when the Cowboys are tied in record with the Commanders right now.
That's true, but also teams like the Ravens haven't won a game yet too, though. So I mean, like I said,
it does feel like that's true.
So hey, I mean, look, this is great stuff here. But so I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. You made the what had happened was. Wait a minute. So the Rams, we have an update from Phoenix there, and it is now 34-10. So they're not quite there yet. So so we picked the what had happened was.
It's looking like we picked the right team for what had happened was. Stafford's going to come back a little bit. They're trying.
Stafford, we've seen him in Detroit. This guy has had a lot of fourth quarter comebacks, or I don't think they're going to come back and win this game.
This one feels a little
his
insurmountable.
numbers could still spike there. What was a blowout, he could kind of make it close in garbage time.
Anything
But anyway,
is possible.
we still have a great show for you here in this second hour. We'll stick around a little bit later. We will have CBSSports.com senior writer Brian DiArdo is going to join us and talk about the Steelers and the Broncos game, which is going on there in Denver. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows and AJ here on ESPN 97.5.
You're listening to The Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
We are back moving it right along here on a Sunday, getting you ready for tonight's Sunday night football game. Texans hosting the Chicago Bears is Jacob Meadows and Mean Gene, and giving you all of the action from Sunday here. 10 games this morning. I think we have 4 this afternoon, and we had a Thursday night game, and we got our Monday night game. That's 16 games there. But I tell you what, we have, we're streaming on YouTube, and every once in a while we got a smile for the folks out there. Just give them a big smile.
It's a little
Follow us
smile
on YouTube and Twitch here, and send us your thoughts and comments. And if you have anything there you want to talk about fantasy football here, I realize I didn't give out the number because, we get selfish up here, Jacob. 713-780-3776. If you're Bears fans in town, you bold enough to call us.
Give us a call.
Give us a call. Texans fans, don't let the Bears take over your show and your station here. Give us a call also, 713-717-3776. Give us the score of the game tonight. I'd like to know what people are thinking about, Jacob.
Just how they think
Because
of
we
the
got to predict this game
yeah.
towards the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to know what people are thinking out there. 713-780-3776. So I said, we got a couple of undefeated teams in the NFC. We talked about the Vikings, we talked about the Saints, but quietly, the Seattle Seahawks are 2-0, and it hasn't really been pretty. And this is under a new head coach here,
Correct.
not Pete Carroll, which makes us think they made the right decision. John Snyder did.
No kid. I think it was a good thing they kept Pete Carroll on the staff, right? He's still part of the team, just no longer the head coach. He was getting older. It looks like McDonald's doing a bang-up job.
You got to be undefeated as a new head coach there. The Seattle Seahawks win 23-20 in overtime over the New England Patriots. So Patriots get a big win last week, upset win over the Bengals, but they take a loss there at Foxborough. And this Geno Smith, they put the ball in the air 44 times, including that 56-yard bomb
to DK
Metcalf, which was incredible. But how about Jackson Smith and Jigba, who also 117 yards, targeted 16 times. Oh my goodness!
Pretty sure that's a career high for him in targets. You love to see it because he didn't have necessarily the most impactful rookie season. So it is nice to see Njigba getting cycled through this offense. I mean, he was number 2 to DK Metcalf only. It seems he's taken over for Tyler Lockett at the wide receiver 2 position, at least through 2 weeks this season. And Geno Smith throwing 75% completion rate on 44 passes. Good for him. Geno's no spring chicken, brother. And he was hitting today.
This team is getting done. Not to mention, no Kenneth Walker in this game. So it was the UCLA product. Charbonnet,
Zach Charbonnet,
who got out there. I drafted him. I picked him up from the waivers there quickly once we found out about Kenneth Walker. But not a bad day for him. 14 attempts, 38 yards. He had a long run of 9 yards, but he did get in the end zone.
He did. He also had 5 catches on 5 targets for 31 yards. So, I mean, he was serviceable everywhere they needed him. Plus, he capped it with that tutter, which was nice for all of us fantasy owners.
But, and speaking of a fantasy owner here, what you look? I don't think anyone picked up Jacoby Brissett at one particular time. Looked like he got hurt last week in the game versus the Bengals, and not a good game today. He didn't throw a pick. He was 15 to 27. They don't have him throwing the ball that much as compared to what Geno did, but 15 to 27, 150 yards there. And it seems like most of those were targeted to Hunter Henry, the former San Diego Charger tight end.
They were. He's throwing a lot of checkdowns, but Jacoby Brissett might be legit. This is 2 weeks in a row. Again, he's not posting. It's not Tom Brady numbers, right? You're not getting Drew Brees numbers or any of the big quarterbacks. He's not blowing your mind, but 15 to 27 for 149 in the touchdown for a guy that he's a backup. And he looks amazing under Gerard Mayo. He's translated well. Hunter Henry had a crazy game.
I said San Diego Chargers. Did you hear me?
He was a San Diego Charger.
Before they went to
LA.
To LA, yeah.
It was not wrong. It took a second for that to clear. He was a San Diego Charger.
Yeah, he was right before that. Incredible. So hey, look, the Patriots are gonna have a tough year. But they're 1-1. I guess it's where you want to be through 2 games, better than being 0-2.
It sure is.
And when you look at what's happening with the Miami Dolphins in their own division, it makes you feel confident.
Count your blessings.
That they may not look with Scott. Look, who would you rather have, Skylar Thompson or Jacoby Brissett?
Easy, Jacoby Brissett for sure. Yeah, it's no contest.
That's a no-brainer. So it looks pretty interesting. So I don't know. The Dolphins could turn it around. They could end up getting another quarterback in. How about we give you an update on what's happening in Kansas City as the Chiefs now lead the Cincinnati Bengals 17 to 16 now.
Oh, 17 to 16. Yep.
With about 8 minutes and 21 seconds left to go in the third quarter, it looked like they scored on a 1 yard run there. Or was it a pass to? Yeah, it was a pass from Mahomes to Morris. Who the hell is Morris?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I mean,
Is he?
it
Big man
was an
touchdown. Let's
eligible
go.
lineman. Yeah, these are the guys that we cannot draft, in fantasy football. So it's just incredible, incredible. There's Andy Reid doing it again, coming up with something
Just
that he pulls
crazy.
out of his, what? Just, I mean, look, hey, whatever it takes there, because they were struggling there. This game looks like it's going to go seesaw. Mahomes is now 13 of 17, 119 yards with 2 touchdowns, and it seems like Rice and Watson are the leading receivers so far in this game. Pacheco has 75 yards on the ground.
He has 75 yards on the ground and another 21 on the ground. Pacheco's having a good year. This is the year of Isaiah Pacheco for the Kansas City Chiefs. But it does seem like Kansas City's finally found their groove a little bit in this game, and no longer are they playing like reactive football. They're proactive football. It does look like they are kind of controlling the direction this game is going in now. So this is gonna be the best game of the day. I would hope.
Yeah, so I mean, look, it's probably gonna go down to the wire. So nothing has changed in the Pittsburgh-Denver game. With about 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter, Steelers are still up 10-0. And in the fourth quarter now, in Arizona, it is the Cardinals. They have they just scored again,
40-10.
So as soon as we mentioned it, it just happened just like that. This time, it looked like there was a
forced fumble.
They
recovered a fumble in the end zone.
Recovered by McBride. So now it's 41-10. So I think it looks like what had happened is going more so towards the Rams and the Cardinals. And let's just talk about this for a minute, because man, I tell you what, the Rams are going to be 0-2, which more likely is going to be at the bottom of the cellar in the NFC West. They're going to be last place because the 49ers did win.
Yep.
And look like the Cardinals are going to win. And Seattle.
This is a crazy
2-0.
division. Yeah. This is
Go figure.
Competitive. And I never would have guessed the Rams would have been at this in the cellar, especially not after how they played Detroit in week 1. Matt Stafford looked good, albeit they didn't win, but like they looked good, and they have fallen flat against this Arizona.
So who would have thought that the Seattle would be, number one, and you got the 49ers there that are, 1-1. They take a L today, but don't count out the Cardinals now. You got
all of a sudden they have 4 teams in this division that could make a run.
And Kyler Murray's having a hell of a day. He's almost got a perfect quarterback rating: 17-21, 266, 3 touchdowns for a 158.3 quarterback rating. It doesn't get any better.
Insanity. And just as a side note, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get a whole lot of work in week 1. There was a lot of chatter about, his usage in the offense and what have you. Currently, he has been targeted 8 times in this game with the 4 receptions mentioned earlier. So he has been targeted 8 total times. It looks like they have definitely ramped up his involvement in this offense, and it's obviously working. So
yeah, so man, this game is just, it seems like it's getting out of control. And good thing it's in Phoenix, because I would think that the Rams fans would have been exiting SoFi.
No joke.
If that was the case. So last week, Jacob, you missed it. We had a caller call in from Tennessee, and he's a Titans fan. He wants us to call him Tommy Titan, and he really just can't call in and gave us fits. Gave AJ. AJ was just cracking up there. He couldn't watch the. What did he say, AJ? He couldn't watch the game at home with his wife, so he went over to his girlfriend's house to watch the game. Anyway, I don't know. We haven't heard from him today, because he said he was going to bug us every week. The Jets beat the Titans today in Nashville 24-17. So now there's 2 games that the Titans have lost at home. It was the Bears. And it's something about this number 17 with Tennessee, because, they were winning by 17 over the Bears before the Bears won 24-17. Well, guess what happened today? The Jets win 24-17, so they can't get off these numbers here. Good game for from a statistical standpoint, not good for Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets do get get a win.
And it's
Their
his
first win.
first victory since his injury.
On
And
the road.
He's got to be flying high right now. I mean, they the opening week, the regular season, I mean, the Jets, they looked like their quarterback hadn't played ball in 2 years, and they were kind of knocking the rust off. And it was nice to see the Jets kind of get it going.
Yeah. I mean, look, they yet to play a game at home.
Yeah.
So I mean, this has got to be good going into week 3.
That home opener is going to be
The
fun.
home opener is probably going to be interesting. And, are you nervous if you're Aaron Rodgers? Because you know what happened the home opener
The last time.
last year. There's got to be some nerves, some nerves there. So what'd you say, AJ?
The turf.
Oh yeah, that turf. Well, I think they probably fixed it up there a little bit.
I hope so.
That's
Wouldn't
interesting.
hope.
But I tell you what. Anyway, Will Levis just made one bonehead play after another today, and that's got to worry the Titans fans. Look, you see Malik Willis having a great day, and I don't know where Ryan Tannehill is. He's gone.
He was vying for the backup position for
Yeah,
the Green Bay
so
Packers.
I mean, I think right now you would probably take anything. Will Levis just, I mean, not a great day.
He has not looked good. I was a Will Levis believer, despite being a diehard Houston fan, right? I drafted Will Levis in 2 of my fantasy leagues, and the development that we saw at the back end of last season for Will Levis has not transferred over to this year. He looks lost. They went out, they got him a couple more weapons. I mean, Calvin Ridley's in Tennessee now. They just
really had a good day today.
He's not. Will Levis is just not doing it. It's got to be the mental part of the game. Things are moving too fast for him still. Like there's got to be some
the mayonnaise in the damn coffee is what doing.
It's the mayonnaise in the coffee, man.
I mean, who does that, right?
Jeez, it's throwing off his whole game. Like, stop drinking it the morning of the game.
Just leave that mayonnaise out of your coffee. All right, we are at the bottom of the second hour. When we come back, we will have CBSSports.com senior writer Brian DeArdos joining us. We're going to be talking AFC, including what the Steelers and the Broncos are doing. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show. Jacob Meadows right here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
On ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we are back here, bottom of the second hour here on this early edition of the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5 with Jacob Meadows here. Update on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Broncos game. It is now 13-0 and 2 minutes and 59 seconds left to go in the third quarter. And on the line to discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers and the AFC North is our great friend from CBSSports.com, senior writer Brian DiArdo. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Gene, doing well. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great, man. You're on with me and Jacob Meadows here, and we're just moving right along here on this Sunday, and it looks like Justin Fields is doing the same.
Yeah, I mean, so far, and thanks again for having me on with you. And it does appear that the Justin Fields is doing an adequate job, but really, the key has been the Steelers' defense. They've done a good job against Bo Nix, and they're taking advantage of a rookie quarterback who's playing that way. And they just ran a really nifty trick play that went for almost 50 yards, and then Nix, 2 plays later, throws an interception to Corey Trice in the end zone. A nice story, a second-year player who didn't play at all his rookie year, had a season-ending knee injury. But really, the Steelers' 13-0 lead could have been more if not for a couple of holding calls against Broderick Jones. Again, one of them negated a 51-yard completion from Fields to George Pickens. But, yeah, overall, he's looked sharp. Now, obviously, the Steelers haven't played, the top of the heap. They're not the Bengals, for example, right now in Kansas City, but they're taking, they're so far. I mean, Atlanta last week supposed to be a decent team, and now Denver, still a team, on the come up. So far, so good, but that defense so far looks really, really good.
So, Brian, this is Jacob. How are you, man? It's cool having you back on. We've talked previously before. But
oh yeah, always great with you. Yeah, always great talk with you.
Do you like what you're seeing out of the Pittsburgh rushing game? I mean, I agree with you that their defense is what's really running the show right now. But them being able to get Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren both involved in the game, does that bode well? Do you think, longevity wise, you think this is boding well for the Pittsburgh Steelers and that maybe they're finding that offensive identity? Or
well, I feel bad right now because Justin Fields just ran over an elderly man on the sideline, so I'm not feeling good for the future, maybe for that gentleman. But the rest of it, I do. I think that the Steelers right now, I mean, and I think that was the difference maybe between them the last couple of years and now is there's a clear identity with Arthur Smith. I mean, and what he wants to do really fits the Steelers' identity and what they are as far as their personnel. And really, you look at 22, you even go back to Ben's last season. I mean, every year, they were under 500 at a point, and then they kind of rallied back late in the season to kind of grab or just miss that last playoff spot. And the common thread in all of that was sound running game, really, and play action, the run setting up the pass. And so, yes, I think that this is sustainable as long as Justin Fields or whoever's playing quarterback for Pittsburgh can keep them honest. And, yeah, I mean, Najee Harris last week, 70 yards on 20 carries. Today so far, he's somewhat similar from a stat point, 54 yards on 12 carries, so a little better today. Warren's getting more work. He's still working his way back from the hamstring injury. But, yeah, I do believe that this running game is sustainable. Now, the offensive line is only going to get better as the season goes on. To me, though, the 2 things I'm worried about for the Steelers as far as the running game is Isaac Samalu, who's still come back from his injury. He didn't play today. And Broderick Jones has really been an issue. He had, I thought, a really good rookie season. Came in, started at right tackle about midway through the season. But he was supposed to be the starting left tackle. He was supposed to have replaced Dan Moore. Well, that never happened. And right now, he's not even starting. Patanu, the rookie's playing ahead of him. So I feel very good about the running game. But those 2 things, on the offensive line are a little bit concerning.
Once again, it's Brian DiArdo, CBSSports.com senior writer, joining us here on the Mean Gene Show. Well, look, one of the things I do like about this particular game here is how Justin Fields and the offense is controlling first downs. I mean, they have 15 first downs to the Broncos 5, so that is great dominance right there.
Oh, for sure. And again, I think that I think there's a lot of talk in Pittsburgh about the Patrick Queen signing, and that got a lot of hoopla, deservedly so. But I thought Deshaun Elliott, the veteran safety who has already played for 2 AFC North teams, was a huge acquisition. He had a major stop on Williams for a 4-yard loss on a 3rd and 1 earlier in this game. And then, Dante Jackson. And the thing with Jackson was, I was at camp the first day. That dude just talks and talks and talks. But I love it. I think it's great to have a guy with some swagger on his defense, right? That's not afraid to talk, especially in the AFC North where, the Steelers are going to go against, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. So you're going to go against some quarterbacks that can do things to you. So I think this is the Steelers' best defense in 5 years. I think since the 19 defense. So the formula is good. The issue for them is they can't get in track meet. So if they play Cincinnati, they've got to make Cincinnati play to their style. Same thing with Baltimore. Same thing, if they face, when they face Kansas City, way down the road. The Steelers are really only built to win, guys, one way, and that's how they played last week, and that's how they've played so far today.
Well, look, I know it's early in this week too, and we got to get excited about something. And the fact that they have an opportunity. I know there's a lot of time left to go in this game. They just about to start the fourth quarter here. When you're looking at the AFC North here, and before the season, I think everyone had their eyes on the Ravens to win that division. But the Ravens find themselves 0-2. They lose to the Chargers today. Did that not surprise you at all?
Yeah, I was surprised. I picked Baltimore to win. But I will say this. I was somewhat concerned with some of their, I don't think they did a lot this year to improve their roster relative to, the Steelers, what they had done. The Bengals, they didn't really, I don't know if they made the roster better, but I thought they did a good job adequately replacing the guys they'd lost, like Tyler Boyd. They get Jermaine Burton. They lose Joe Mixon, but they get Zach Moss. And so I think, what did Baltimore do? I mean, they didn't. They lost Odell Beckham Jr. He didn't give them a lot, I'll admit, but they really didn't get anybody that could adequately even replace him. So their receiving core, to me, is still weak. Their offensive line. I mean, and this isn't the first time with Lamar. I mean, their offensive line is suspect. I remember 3 years ago, the Steelers released basically Villanueva, and he was the starting left tackle, which I love Villanueva. All Steelers fans did. But at that point in his career, he wasn't the Pro Bowl guy that he had been for Big Ben. So, and their secondary wasn't great against the run last year, and they were giving up a lot of big plays in the passing game. Minshew was 30 of 38. That is like some Mahomes stuff. Now, their run defense is still, 27 yards, 17 carries today. That's very good. But again, though, I still like maybe Baltimore's odds against Pittsburgh, because Baltimore can still score points. The offense, as I just mentioned, all these offensive issues. The offense isn't the reason why Baltimore lost these games. It's the defense. So that defense, particularly that passing defense, so that team, guys, that was surprising to me, is their pass defense has been the thing that's hurt them so far. And that is what, to me, is concerning. But I don't think Baltimore's making the playoffs. I said that before the season started.
Oh, wow.
I stand by that. I think Pittsburgh takes that division or second. I think Cincinnati wins.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think Baltimore makes the playoffs.
Well, that's incredible. Now, look, you're gonna have to help us out with something here, because as a writer, I know you put a lot of detail into getting these names right, and we are struggling with the kid on the Bengals team now, because the Bengals are now winning 22-17 here with about less than a minute left to go in this third quarter. Who the heck is this kid? How do you pronounce his name?
Yoshivas.
I wasn't even close.
Yoshivas. Oh yeah.
Yoshivas. Like Yoshi. Yoshivas. Yoshivas.
Yeah, we butchered it up. Anyway, he'll probably never be a guest on this show. But anyway, we did our best. But look, I mean, the Bengals, Patrick Mahomes is not having a great day there. He's already, he's just struggling there. Was that an interception? I think he's got another. Does he have 2 picks in this game already? I think. So, okay, they called it back. So he did have a interception, but they called it back. So it would have been his second one. But this thing is going seesaw back and forth there, Brian, and the Bengals. Man, this would be a monumental win on the road if they were to get it.
This would be a big win for the Bengals. I mean, and more so, if you beat the Chiefs, anytime you could beat a rival, the team that's won 2 straight Super Bowls, that's obviously all great. But I think for them, this is a feel good thing, right? I mean, I feel like the Bengals haven't really had a lot to celebrate since, they beat the Niners last year, I think, to go to 5-3 or something like that. When they started slow again, and for the Bengals too. I mean, if they could win this game, they would kind of, stop that trend that they seem to have of slow starts. You look at like 22, right? If they don't start 0-2, and maybe they were 1-3 at one point, I'm not quite sure, but if they don't start 0-2, they're potentially hosting the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, right? And maybe things are a little bit different. And then last year they started slow yet again, and they fought back, but still missed the playoffs because of the slow start. So they can win this game. You know, you have a leg up on Kansas City in mathematical tiebreakers. You're staying, assuming the Steelers hang on and win, you're only staying a game behind Pittsburgh. You're with the Browns at 1-1. You're ahead of the Ravens. But I think, again, this is just, I think, a really good feel-good win for them, not having T. Higgins. And this isn't, you know, yeah, Joe Burrow's still there. A lot of the same faces are still there. But this isn't quite the Bengals team that went to the Super Bowl. No more Jesse Bates.
Yeah.
No more Tyler Boyd. No more Joe Mixon. So now you're winning with Yoshevich. You're winning with Jermaine Burton, who had his first NFL catch. You're winning with Mike Gesicki, who had a nice fourth down catch earlier in this game. So for the new Bengals, this can kind of show, okay, you know, and, you know, for Joe Burrow, right? Like, there were still questions about whether or not his wrist was all the way back. And I've always said, if he's healthy, he's just as good as Patrick Mahomes, which some people might think is blasphemous, but I truly believe that.
Absolutely.
And so far, he's showing that today.
Well, hey, I tell you what, Brian, man, as always, nobody covers the AFC North and the Steelers like you do. We will have you back on here and continue to break down that AFC North. Thanks a lot, my man.
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, anytime, guys. Great to speak with you as always. Great show.
All right, thank you. Brian DiArdo, CBSSports.com, senior writer, joining us. And so Patrick Mahomes did throw his second pick of the game. I guess it was a little premature there, but this time it looked like he was trying to throw a deep pass, which was intended for Xavier Worthy. It was intercepted by Taylor Britt at the Cincinnati 40, and looked like the Bengals are, well, they're getting ready to go into the fourth quarter, but they're in business. And you know what? When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show here. Of course, man, I'm
Can't
thinking
believe this was flown by so
we got another hour or so, but we don't. We got to get ready for a game tonight. So hey, stick around. We will close out the show here. Get all the latest updates on what's happening in the evening games. The Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows, right here, ESPN 97.5.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right. Oh, man, we're about to wrap it up here, the last segment of the Mean Gene Show on a Sunday. And once again, we are early today to make room for tonight's game happening at NRG Stadium. The Texans are getting ready to host the Chicago Bears. That game is going to kick off in about an hour and 30 minutes, Jacob. Are you excited?
Give or take. I'm so excited. Week 1 was good because it was a divisional matchup, right? The Colts are always a good game. But we get rookie Caleb Williams after all the Bears chatter all offseason. This Houston defense has improved. Our offense looks good. I am excited for what is to come from this game.
Can't wait, man. And we want to thank Brian DiOrto for joining us in that last segment there to talk about the AFC. Look, we do have a final and afternoon game there, and that would be the Arizona Cardinals 31-point win over the Rams, 41-10. So that is the worst butt whipping of the day. And for all you Arizona Cardinal fans, congratulations there. And Rams fans, man, look like they're going to have to try to regroup and recover from that divisional loss.
T's and P's.
Which makes it even worse. Normally, you don't see those type of beatdowns in your own division. This Kansas City-Cincinnati game is just going back and forth. Now, it is the Chiefs 23-22 with 15 minutes left to go in this game, man. This is going to come down to whoever has the ball last.
Or whoever makes the last mistake. I mean, Patrick Mahomes throws the interception, right? That's how Cincinnati got the ball back. Joe Burrow is the reason that that Kansas City just scored because Joe Burrow fumbled the ball, lost the fumble, and then boom, you get another toucher for Kansas City.
Yeah, this is crazy. So I think the 2-point conversion failed. Mahomes passed to Worthy was incomplete, but they wanted to get that extra. But anyway, how about this game? This is crazy. This is an incredible game. We just talked about it in the last segment, how important this AFC matchup is. These two teams have seen each other in the AFC Championship games before, and the only team that's ever really gotten past the Chiefs is the Bengals.
Yeah.
And you know, to get to the Super Bowl against the Rams a couple of years ago. But incredible game. So, look, we're going to be gone, but we got to keep our eye on this game while we're getting ready for the other game. So there's one game that we did not talk about today. It's our last recap game here, and that's going to be the Commanders and the Giants. So it was appropriate that we say this. This was the battle of last and dead last, right? I don't say. Everyone knows this is the Eagles' division to take now. Cowboys fans would disagree with that because they're still a young season.
Week 2.
Yeah, I know. I had to say it. It's still a young season. But anyway, the Washington Commanders get their first win of the season with Jaden Daniels over the Giants, who are 0-2 all of a sudden. Washington wins 21-18, Jacob.
And there were positives on both sides of the field for this one, right? Like you finally saw a little bit of offensive output by the Giants, albeit they lost. But Daniel Jones was dealing a little bit. The run game looked good. Devin Singletary almost went over 100 yards. Like you had some people participate.
What Neighbors? How about another
Malik
wide
Neighbors
receiver?
goes over 100 for the first time as a rookie wide receiver.
Targeted 18 times. I'm like, hello.
The whole offense. He was the whole offense. Yes. And then on the flip side, right, Jaden Daniels took a bunch of knocks after week 1 for not throwing the ball enough. He had 17 attempts through the air. He had 29 attempts through the air in this game, connected on 23 of them, spread the ball around to multiple receivers. Even Scary Terry got involved a little bit, which my fantasy team will eventually be happy about.
A player on the decline. Look, if you're Darius Slayton and Wendell Robinson, you got to be thinking like, man, hey, am I not on this team?
I'm still here. Yeah.
18 targets because Slayton only had 4 targets. Okay. He caught 3 for 33 yards. Robinson, who is an interesting guy.
Yeah, he's a good player too. Really Another
only had 4
targets.
So but you the Commanders defense, you know, I guess it just made it easy for them to know. We know who you're going to be throwing the ball to.
You double
And-
Malik
and
Neighbors. And
Yeah, you double him, but he still got 127 yards. But man, big win there for Dan
Washington.
Quinn,
yeah.
getting his first win in this NFC East divisional matchup here. Now the Giants and look, I've been saying this. I think this is Brian Dable. Something's going to have to give. It's
He's
either
going to be on the hot seat.
Daniel Jones or Dable. Somebody's going to have to go.
Yep. And it just as a side note, just because I just realized this, Noah Brown had 3 targets, had 3 catches for 56 yards for the Commanders. It looks good to see him having some sort of success outside of Houston. Houston just dumped him right before the regular season. He's already making an impact with Washington. But yeah, Brian Daboll, this is going to be it's him or Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is on that big contract still.
Yeah.
You have to wonder how the Giants pivot with this one because
if Jones,
something's got to
if
change.
he goes and tells management that, look, I don't like the way this offense is moving, somebody's going to go.
Somebody.
You can always make the offensive coordinator scapegoat, but I think he's on another offensive coordinator too.
Yep,
if
he
I'm not
sure
mistaken.
is.
So interesting. We got to pick this Sunday night game here, which I think everyone knows where we're going to go with this. We picked the Texans to win the AFC South. They have a chance to go 2-0 there in that division there, and undefeated. On the season, young season, although. But I got to think they have seen all the hype. Probably had a chance to scout the team when they were on Hard Knocks there. I mean, everybody got a little inside information there on the Bears. But I think this is going to be a great game tonight. Can't wait to watch it. Got the Texans winning tonight. Stephon Diggs, what his debut with the Texans. Joe Mixon's debut with the Texans was just stellar. They did this on the road. I got to think they're going to put on a show for the home.
It's going to be a clinic, I hope. Yeah.
I just feel that.
I have to. I hate saying it too many times. I feel like I'm going to jinx us. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more Dalton Schultz than we saw in week 1. I think Joe Mixon's going to turn it on again. I think we might see more Tank Dell than Stephon Diggs this week just because.
A bunch of targets. Nico Collins,
he was sick earlier in the week, Nico Collins was. It'll be interesting to see what he does today because he's been sick. That he was questionable up until like a day or two ago.
One step
so
down.
many mouths to
got,
feed.
AJ, your take on who wins tonight and how?
Yeah, I mean the Texans should win. Obviously, I mean they can impose in that running game with Joe Mixon like they did last week. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Chicago, they had a bounce back game and played really, really well. I mean, their defense is nice and stout, but really it's their offense to get going. Because I mean, last week it didn't look good at all in the Titans. I mean, I think Caleb Williams was trying to improvise too much like he did in college, and that's not going to work because the athletes now are way quicker, way more talented.
Much more
So
athletic.
yeah, but I think the Texans should win. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago
Could you
upset
imagine the storyline? I don't know, nobody reads newspapers anymore, but the front page story: Bears 2-0.
Right.
And then you got the Bears and the Vikings would be 2-0 in that NFC North. Wouldn't that be?
That would be.
I mean, I just don't see it happening.
No, I don't either. But I will say DeAndre Swift is probably going to be the X factor in this game as RB1 for the Bears. At week 1 against the Colts, the Texans had some trouble stopping Jonathan Taylor, stopping Anthony Richardson. Like the run game kind of hurt him a little bit. And if DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert can really get the ball rolling for Chicago, you could see Chicago, kind of like what AJ said, you could see Chicago hanging this game better than what people are expecting. And they could they could surprise some people.
I'm going to say 31-10 Texans. That's my score for the night, 31-10.
28-13 Texans. That's going to be mine.
What you got, AJ?
I'll say 27-17 Texans.
I like that one. Yeah.
So, also tomorrow night, big game there, NFC matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles of the NFC East versus the Atlanta Falcons of the NFC South. So Eagles, big win. They haven't played a game since the opening season there in Brazil. So plenty of rest there. And Eagles look good. Saquon Barkley looked good in his debut with the Eagles. I got the Eagles winning this game tomorrow night, but can't wait to see what the Falcons display.
I'd like to see the Falcons win that game. I really would, just for Captain Kirk and for everybody, like all the movement that's happened with the Atlanta Falcons. You have Justin Simmons and Matt Judon and the guys come over on defense. You bring in Kirk on offense. And there's this renewed sense that the Atlanta's going to be relevant in some way. They looked terrible in week 1. It looked like Kirk had missed some football and that he was a little rusty, kind of similar to the Aaron Rodgers situation. I like the Eagles to win this game. I like the Eagles to win this game pretty commandingly, but it would be cool to see Atlanta come out, go 1-1, beat the Eagles like that.
And just shake things up, right?
Yeah, just
give us
shake
something
it
to talk about. in week
NFC's
3.
already chaotic
I know,
after
it is,
today.
it
Why
is.
not make it worse?
All right, folks. Hey, that's about going to wrap it up for us. Steelers up 13-3, 8 minutes left to go in that game in the fourth. And the Chiefs, keep your eye on the Chiefs in the Kansas City game because I have a feeling it could go into overtime. But hey, right now, Chiefs lead 23-22. We are going to get out of here and make room for whatever else is coming on after us. I don't know. Probably more scores and updates. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the show today. And we'll see you back here next week on the Mean Gene Show with Mean Gene and Jacob Meadows and AJ. Enjoy the game tonight.